I will live 100 days in the middle of a toxic ocean contaminated with radiation and viruses. This means that I will be constantly chased by various mutants and parasites. From the depths of the ocean, I will be able to sail the ocean on various ships and submarines. But the weather conditions and severe storms will hinder me. My main task is to get to the icy continent. Melting ice is the cause of all disasters, but I will be able to find out the cause only when I got there. Because of the rise in the sea level, almost all the land went underwater, and only small islands remain, which are also infected and dangerous. Staying on them for a long time will attract mutants, so the ocean is the only relative safe place. I'm going to have 100 days of incredible hardcore, and I'm going to start with a raft in the middle of a toxic ocean. I got here after my entire crew fell into the clutches of a terrible monster. The ship was wrecked, and all the people were missing. I miraculously survived the wreck and was left alone. This raft will serve as my home for the next 100 days. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy watching. Everyone! Day 1, and so I'm in the middle of the ocean. There's radioactive water around me, and there's a little storm raging in it. There is no food, no drinking water, the sun is baking, and I have absolutely no idea what to do. Now this raft will become my home. Well, at least I survived, unlike other people. Now I just need to figure out how to survive and not die of hunger and dehydration. The water is really very toxic. So far, except for some plants at the bottom, I don't see anything else. I hope at least my raft will survive and it won't dissolve in this nuclear water. By the way, the waves are getting faster and bigger. I'm afraid they won't make sense of me from my raft. By the way, in the barrel, there is a spyglass, a fishing rod, and bones of some fish. Not bad. You can try to catch fish and other objects. By the way, when I catch a lot of things, I will get some more resources and items for further survival. So I need to start fishing urgently. I was immediately unlucky, and instead of a cool prey, I caught a local mutant that swam to me right from the bottom of the toxic ocean. It dives under my raft and climbs out of unexpected places. How cunning it is! Just look, already an infuriating monster. But alas, such are the realities of the nuclear ocean. For the second time in a row, I caught an ocean mutant, and I had to get off the raft into the toxic ocean. Otherwise, I would just die in any case. Not being in the water for a very long time, and not very often, will not lead to death, but as we can see, I have already received a little radiation. An infection, so far it is not dangerous, but from now on I need to be careful, otherwise I may just become a zombie or a mutant. I fished until night and new items appeared in the barrel. Now I can craft a boat to swim to explore the ocean, as well as put a rain collector, and with the help of a bottle to collect clean water from there. By the way, you need to be careful because there are strong waves in the ocean, and my small boat can simply sink if I fall in the middle of the ocean into the water and cannot quickly get to land. Then either I will die of an infection or I'll be devoured by mutants and dragged underwater. Well, let's sail our boat somewhere far away and see what we have here. Although because of the huge storm it is difficult to sail, the waves throw my boat in all directions, and this is a problem. I hope I don't capsize anyway. I sailed to the distance to scout the territory and see what I can find. If there are any islands near me, since the ocean has risen, 90 of the Earth's territory has gone underwater, and it is very rare to find at least a small island. I hope I will be able to find at least something. I sailed all night on terrible waves, but by morning the storm was finally over. The ocean was very calm and there were almost no waves. But there was another problem. I was attacked by some strange creature, a mutant that appeared during the lightning strike. I did not record its sounds, but in the future, you will hear it. Be prepared. It makes a terrible roar. Well, now I accidentally swam into the dead zone of the ocean. On the map, it is marked with a skull and crossbones. Storms and giant waves are constantly raging here. I definitely did not expect to find anyone alive here, but 2 fishermen live on these rocks. I could not think that there is anyone once. I could not think that there is anyone survivor in the world, but I was lucky and was able to replenish my stock of resources right on their island. There were a lot of different fireworks here, and I decided to launch them a little. At least some joy in this apocalyptic world, and in general, there were a lot of useful things on that island. In addition to the fact that I went to land, I collected a lot of resources in the form of wood, fish, potatoes, and carrots, and much more. And I also noticed that the inhabitants made themselves a bridge of fires. And this means that I can mine them and get charcoal, which is what I will do. Now, coal will definitely come in handy for me. By the way, I noticed that there is a very toxic sea in this dead zone. Look how the water glows and how neon green it is. I decided to get some stone because I need to expand my raft and I can't get stone there. Besides, I can't dive underwater. This island is the only place where I can get blocks. I made a stone axe and mined coal, which was on this island. It was very useful to me. I also found a barrel of water and decided to drink from it. I decided not to completely destroy the village and leave at least something to the villagers. Guys, look what a beautiful night. I forgot about the apocalypse for a second and looked at the starry sky, by the way, due to the fact that the glaciers are melting. The northern lights have spread to all continents, and now you can see it anywhere in the world. How wonderful it is. If only I could bring back the old world. I will get some more stone, so that it would definitely be enough for me. And I will also make a boat with a chest, so that I can put my things there. This will also be useful. The toxicity of the ocean in this area scares me very much. Look how murky and green the water is. I need to return home as soon as possible. In the morning, I am met again by a small storm, but the waves are not an obstacle for me. As I said in the dead zone, this is a normal phenomenon. By the way, I found another island with fishermen and decided to look here again. I quickly took some resources from them and decided not to stay for a long time. I need to return home. It took me a long time to get home because of the storm, but this is the reality of the dead zone, as I said, and storms there occur with a 99 probability. So there is nothing you can do about it. There are a lot of mutants, so I will try to just not swim there anymore. In general, I am at home. And I decided to start expanding my raft. I want to spend a couple of days to improve my raft and do household chores. After building the walls, I thought what to do next, because my boat is small and it may not withstand a strong storm. At this moment, a strong lightning struck, while there was no strong thunderstorm. This means that one of the mutants tried to appear on my raft, so I made a roof in order to protect myself a little and began to fry fish. By the way, there was a storm and I was struck again by lightning, which does quite a lot of damage. Something needs to be done with this, but alas, so far I do not have copper to make a lightning rod, and I do not know how to make it. But there are also advantages of a thunderstorm. I have collected clean water. I also found a recipe for a large ship that I will make in the future. It turns out that everything is not so difficult, and soon I will be able to get a new cool ship. But first, you have to get slime and fur and a lot of threads. But I think I can do it. And a lot of threads, but I think I can do it. And I know how to get into the cave, through the islands of the villagers, where I can start digging a cave. And if I find an abandoned cave, I can find spiders and threads and everything else I need. And also to find the slime. A strong storm and huge waves began again, but I am determined and I know what I need to do. I found one more fisherman's island. There was nothing interesting there. I took everything I needed and swam on and came across some strange island. The water around it was very green, which means that it is very toxic. I also found pumpkins, and there were a lot of toxins coming out of them. Now, I'm on the dead islands. As you can see, this cluster of small islands, and it's marked on the map. I've collected some pumpkins that are leaking toxins and more reeds, and now I want to look around the ship. I decided to get some farmland on my raft so that I could plant potatoes and carrots and see what was in that wrecked ship. I searched all the chests and took the items I needed. There was a lot of stuff, including a map, but there was nothing interesting on it, and I just decided to sail on. Towards night, I came across the fisherman's island again and decided to stay with them for a while. I started digging a cave to get some stone to improve the raft, but I heard the screams of the mutant. I was very frightened and immediately began to run, and not in vain. He got tied up behind me, and if I didn't have time to swim away, he would have eaten me, given that I have no armor. He would have eaten me, given that I have no armor. He would have killed me with one blow. He swam after me for a very long time, and I could barely get rid of him. Such mutants crawl on walls and swim perfectly. They are especially dangerous. After I broke away, there was another problem. A strong storm in the sea. With my small boat, it is very unsafe. But still, I was able to swim home, and now I want to craft a ship to finally sail freely on the ocean. When I got home, I immediately started making a lightning rod. I wasn't sure if it would save me from a mutant that spawns from lightning, because the mutant chooses where to strike with lightning and where to land. But in any case, it was worth trying, if there is even a small chance that it will save me anyway. A good roof on the house will save me from a lightning strike. I looked at the crafting of the ship, and basically, I have everything I need to make myself a ship and sailboats. So I began to craft and chose the ship that I need. I did it. Look what ship I scrambled. On such a ship and in a storm. It is not scary to sail. It also has 3 chests for storing. Things which means that I will be able to collect items, stack, and return home with more resources. It's very convenient. Also, this ship can sail on its own using sails. I can swim across the dead zone and get to the glaciers, but first you need to prepare, because it's very dangerous there, and now I decided to make diamond pickaxes to go to the cave and dig up a lot of resources. I started to expand my raft and made a place for the farm. I put up the land that I got on the island. Finally, I will have farms. I made the soil and planted bamboo, potatoes, cane, carrot, and the rest. Now it is just a matter of waiting for it to grow. Anyway, I planted everything I found in the days. I was on the islands and the fishermen's rocks. Yes, I got a lot of different fruits and vegetables from the residents. And then I decided to make glass to glazing my greenhouse where vegetables grow, as well as for a water purifier. By morning, the bamboo sprouted, and I immediately began to extract. It grew a lot. How fast it still grows. I am just shocked. You can forget about the tree. I also made a bed to skip the night and began to glass my greenhouse. The first night I did not miss because if lightning strikes, then my farm will burn down. In general, I decided to glazing completely. Everything so that sunlight would fall on the plants, but at the same time, lightning would not hit. Then I went away for 20 minutes, and when I returned, I've already grown everything. I'm just amazed at the speed of bamboo growth in Minecraft. Why do you need a tree at all when there is a bamboo that grows at the speed of light? I spent half a day mining bamboo and taking care of my garden, of course. More than a night passed because in real life, I went to eat for 20 minutes and the whole garden sprouted. But that's good. Now I have a lot of food. I took care of my garden and got into my giant ship and decided to go to the same island where I had already been to start digging a cave. I left all the things I didn't need in the ship and began to dig. I found a lot of interesting things. Several abandoned mines with cobwebs. Blew up a creeper. Got all the cobwebs because I need a lot of wool to build something. That's what I'm aiming for. I want to build the biggest radiation sign in hardcore. You'll see later. And now a mutant wants to attack me again. I immediately covered myself with rocks and started digging a cave to escape. I don't know what he's capable of and if he can break blocks. But it's very dangerous, and I don't want to take any risks. In addition, it makes very scary sounds. I shot this video at night, all alone, and heard these terrible sounds in the Minecraft cave. I decided to get out of here as soon as possible. I decided to leave the cave so as not to cross paths with this mutant anymore. I loaded my ship with resources and went on a long journey so far. This time, I decided to sail my big ship in a slightly different direction and came across something very interesting, the like of which I had never seen before. It was a giant ship, and you just look how big it is up to this point. I thought my ship was very big until I saw this ship. There is one. Sailboat more than 3 times more than my boat minimum. I decided to dig into the ship and see what was there. I immediately stumbled upon watermelons that began to flow on me, broke the monster spawner, and found a lot of barrels with resources. Well, there were a lot of interesting things in this compartment. I decided to just break barrels to collect everything faster since there are the same type of resources. There are a lot of monsters here, and I had to run away, but not for long. I will definitely not sail away from here until I take all the things that are on this ship. But first, you need to somehow get rid of monsters and silverfish, and not only with them, there are a lot of different monsters and pirate monsters that are much stronger than ordinary creatures. I really don't remember the name of the mode that adds this ship, but it's just incredibly cool. There are so many things in it. There are pirates, skeletons, zombies, and mutants. In short, a whole bunch of all sorts of monsters. I think it will be quite interesting, but even at this time, it is quite difficult. I found a compartment with coal blocks and decided to immediately mine them all. I will get a lot of coal. This is very good. It will be useful to me. After that, I take all the resources to the ship to take even more different items from the pirate ship. And in the meantime, my ship was almost filled to the top, but there is still enough space for some resources. There were a lot of golden apples and diamonds, and of course, pirates who almost killed me if it wasn't for my boat. Then most likely they succeeded. My ship literally saved me from death because the skeletons just got stuck and I was able to kill them. I decided to use it, and in the future, it will come in handy for me. It's not a bad idea to lure all the monsters there, so I set up my trap like this. I decided to put cobblestones around the ship so that When the monsters attack me, I can jump from the boat onto the rock and escape from them, and the monsters will get stuck in it. Anyway, I spent my whole night killing monsters, but by morning I had a problem. That very strong mutant came here and attacked me, but I was lucky. I was on top of the sailboat and it couldn't get here, and after a couple of bow shots, just disappeared. Now I'm going to use dynamite to destroy them. Monster spawner, my first dynamite didn't work and didn't break the spawner, but on the second try I succeeded and the spawner was destroyed. Now I can get down to the monsters and finish them off. Now they won't spawn and I can safely take all the loot from this ship. I was surprised at how many resources there are on the upper deck of the ship, and after I almost got everything I noticed giant sailboats made of wool, and I just need it. I plan to make scissors and collect all the wool from these sailboats. I also found some pirate bags in which there were different sets of armor with unusual effects. For example, the helmet gave 5% additional damage from the sword and bow, and the pants 3% of speed. Quite interesting, but I took only the helmet. I decided to leave the rest. Well, in the captain's cabin, I found 2 chests with cool things and decided to throw away the old unnecessary things to get more treasure, but now I think you can start getting wool. I made a pair of scissors and decided to start, but I was attacked by a mutant again and I had to run away from him. I jumped into the ocean, but he swam after me and I almost died. I swam away from the mutant as much as I could, but he did not lag behind. It would have lasted forever if he had not disappeared. Lightning struck and the mutant evaporated. I was very scared and thought that I would die. In general, I quickly put on a diving suit because in it I can swim in the water and are not afraid of infection. And I can also breathe underwater and even see everything. Very cool and comfortable, but it doesn't give armor at all, so you have to be careful. The oxygen cylinder fills itself when I walk on the ground. In general, I decided to finish, to collect resources on the ship and collect wool from the sailboats, after which I loaded everything into the ship and sailed finally home. I had a whole bunch of resources with me, and now I can improve my raft. Although at home I was a little short of space, so I had to make additional boxes in order to put all my things there. A creeper came up to me and blew me up while I was packing things, but I was very lucky and survived, and he practically did not blow up anything of value on my raft. I was very lucky because I could just die. I need to be careful. Otherwise, I will just die and no one will save this world. So I decided to make myself diamond armor and tools for the diamonds that I mined in the mine in order to be stronger and protect myself from death in the future in general. Then I decided to use all the wool I got and make a giant radiation sign. I started with a large yellow circle, then I gradually cut out the parts I needed in it and filled it with black wool. Everything that I built, I did not build myself, but according to pixel art from the internet, because I have small problems with building pixel art, so I took a picture that I found in the public domain as an idea, and in fact, I got a very gigantic, even more than I actually calculated, a huge radiation sign. I noticed that a lot of monsters spawn here, so it needs to be illuminated. I will make a lot of torches and place them all over the sign. Otherwise, it will be a hotbed of monsters and mutants. And I was also lucky and I found out that mutants can be knocked out of different parts from which you can collect swords, armor, and even meat-eater, and more. I also made a water purifier, and I want to automate it. While I was doing this, I was attacked by a mutant again. And how did they get me? It's just horrible. And as for the armor of various mutants, this armor will be a symbiote with me and I will look like Venom. It's cool. It will give a lot of effects. So you need to make it. And now I've finished creating an automatic water purifier. And now I can easily purify water. But I was attacked by a mutant again. It's just terrible. I'm shocked by a mutant again. It's just terrible. I'm shocked. When will it all end? I'm tired in general. Now I need to save myself from the mutant and let's continue. I made a farm that will automatically purify a lot of water at once. By the way, I was almost killed by lightning from a mutant. I just don't understand where so many of them come from. Literally 2 mutants in a row attacked me, and at this rate they will soon be able to kill me. I have 1 HP left, and I was very lucky, because I could have died anyway. I survived, and now the water purifier works. We just put bottles of dirty water on top, and after a while we get clean water. It's very easy. We take more water directly from the ocean and just put it in our barrel and everything is ready. Just wait, the coal itself will purify our water and lower it into the bottom chest. I also learned that you can make juice that stacks 16 into one cell and replenishes more thirst. This is more thirst. This is more thirst. This is more convenient than carrying one flask of water. And now I took a torch and went to light my nuclear sign, however. The torches turned out to be few and far between. So I returned home to make even more torches and light up the whole sign. This is important because there will be a lot of monsters if I don't do this, and so now there are a lot of mutant attacks, so you need to be ready for anything and protect yourself. Well, while I was at home, I decided to build this statue right next to my radiation sign. I made it for a very long time and tried very hard, of course. It turned out a little crooked, but it looks just amazing, especially if you take into account its size, by the way. Who understands art, right? What kind of statue it is and where it comes from. Well, in the future, this statue will also become a hotbed of monsters. You can write in the comments your guesses why this will happen. But now I decided to just get a reed and do the garden. I also make juice from watermelon, and it turns out to be the most profitable because I have a lot of them, and any juice restores the same amount of thirst. I also made golden carrots. This is the perfect food for hiking, because now I am in full swing preparing for the icy continent. I'm going to have to go there and figure out what's wrong. I'm not ready yet, but I think I'm going to gather enough power and be able to swim in there to try to end the nuclear apocalypse. Well, guys, I'm almost ready. Finish the golden carrot and go on my new boat. And to be precise, the ship is wool. Yes, I need wool in large quantities again. I want to build a lighthouse, and not an ordinary one, but a lighthouse that will help me find my home. It will glow in the night and show me the way. When I get home, I dye the wool red and put it in a box for now. It will be useful to me a little later. And now I will go under the water as a diver in my diving suit. I need to get something there, and also later I will make a trophy room where all the fish that I caught will be. I began to mine various ores and cobblestones to improve the raft and build a lighthouse. You need a lot of stone for the foundation, by the way. The diving suit works with a bang. I don't get infected and at the same time breathe underwater. But as I said, it doesn't give any protection, and this is a minus. Although there are not so many monsters underwater. In general, as in all my survivals, I decided to take care of my house and buildings, and it seems to me that I am not bad at it. In addition to the lighthouse, I want to make a room for trophies because I caught a lot of fish and I think it will turn out very cool. Oh my god, a mutant attacked me again. Please calm them down. Do something about it. I can't anymore. They got me. I don't know how long it will last. I swim away from the mutant again and he tries to devour me again. It also makes terrible sounds in general. I made a room for trophy fish. Fishing is very interesting, especially when there are so many different types of fish in Minecraft. That's why I decided to ennoble my hobby, and it turned out beautifully. There are special frames in fashion, but they don't work, and I had to make regular frames with backlighting, but it also looks good. I also added various worms to the frames that you can fish with, and I also managed to finish the lighthouse. It looks very cool, and now I will climb on it. As soon as I climbed the lighthouse, I was attacked by a mutant and a phantom. Just some Groundhog Day. They will not leave me behind. Something strange happened on my statue, and as it turned out, a bunch of monsters started inside my statue due to the fact that it is empty. I didn't mine a lot of stone to fill it all, so it's dark inside and different mutants spawned there. I decided to kill them all and collected a lot of different mutant parts from them and decided to make myself cool mutant armor that would be my symbiote. Well, there were a lot of mutants, so I was able to farm a lot of their particles. After that, you need to combine 2 sets of armor and get a symbiote, and also I made myself a huge meat sickle, which is better than a netherite sword, and this armor radiation is not dangerous. I can swim on water, and not even get infected. I also made elyters, and now I will climb the beacon to check them. In this armor, I have a permanent effect called symbiote. I swim fast, and mutants are not dangerous for me. And I can also climb walls by holding down the left shift, although this function is a little inconvenient, as there is a chance of falling from a great height, but it is still very cool, and this armor will help me when I go to clear the glaciers of mutants. Let's check all the functions of this armor, by the way. I also made a crossbow from mutant meat, and it should also be very powerful. This armor set practically makes me a superhero, but how much time did I spend to create it? I think it would take a separate video because it really takes a very long time to craft. It is not difficult to knock meat out of mutants, but crafting different particles is really very confusing and difficult. I had to strain my brain a little for this, but it turned out very cool and I am satisfied. After testing my armor, I realized that it is perfect for this world and for survival in the apocalypse, but I also need to enchant it. For this, I decided to take 2 enchantments at once. The life hack works very simply. I only need to enchant things to level 1, so that new knowledge appears on the armor and I can get the defense 4 enchantment. Now I will show in more detail how I am going to do it, and with the help of a whetstone, I can remove enchantments from item. I take a piece of armor, and if I don't like what enchantment the table offers me, I just take a pickaxe and enchant it to the lowest level, after which I unenchant it and see what new enchantments appear on the armor. If I'm happy with enchanting, if not, I do the same thing again. In general, I do the same thing again in general. I managed to enchant all the armor for protection, 4 and a few other cool enchantments this way. Now I decided to swim in the sea and check how cool it is. It turned out to be really much better than it was. Now I swim even faster and walk on the seabed, and I can also breathe underwater for a long time. Now, definitely not a single mutant will harm me or kill me. And now I continue to purify the water to make a lot of bottles of juice that I can take with me on the trip. They take up a little space and also give me a lot of thirst, so I take more of them with me. Also, before going to the glaciers, I decided to make myself a firearm. And yes, you got it right. There are machine guns on this build. I decided to make 2 assault rifles and a sniper, and also spent a few days creating skins for them. I got used to perfectionism and could not leave my weapon without brand new New Year's skins. I tested the weapon and shot a little with it, and then I stepped away for a few minutes in real life and almost starved to death in Minecraft, but fortunately, I returned on time and had time to drink water and eat. Now all that remains is to take all the necessary items and go. I took a lot of food and water, took weapons as well as a first aid kit, syrup, and much more. I am fully prepared and now you can go. I have chosen a boat that has oars and sailboats. It is best managed in a strong storm, and on it can swim anywhere. It is the most comfortable. I swam on the way, but the storm interfered with me very much. It was very difficult to swim up, but still I managed, and after a while the ocean calmed down, the waves disappeared, and I continued to swim. I arrived at a small island that is located near the glaciers, and there was snow, although the map indicates that it should not be here. Very strange. I saw monsters there. There are very giant mutant dragons or fish. I don't know what they are called, but they are very strong and definitely want to devour me. I was supposed to swim further, but I decided to swim to this island. I was interested in what is here because it is depicted on the map. In general, I killed most of the monsters and various objects, a lot of them. For example, fins, some teeth, as well as some ancient scrolls that are encrypted, and in order to read them, you need to use them. Of course, I decided to check what they do, and I was very afraid that they could kill me. I will swim further to the glaciers to look for the main boss, Cornelia, and explore the glacier. By the way, I found out that my ice key, which I knocked out on a pirate ship, is a very rare thing that will come in handy for me. It falls from the boss, but due to the fact that the ship is a dungeon where random items drop, I was lucky and I got the key for free. In general, very cool. But now, I think it's time to return to the sea and go to the glaciers. It's time to find out what happened to the world and why the water in the ocean is contaminated and toxic. I've sailed to the glaciers. Finally, one of the final goals has been accomplished, but that's not all. I have to find out the main reason for what happened here. And now, a little background from what I know about this story. Captain Cornelia arrived at these glaciers with her crew. In spite of all the prohibitions and restrictions, she did not listen to anyone and decided to explore the glaciers. They set up the rigs and began to dig the soil of the ice and made their way very deep to what had long been frozen and should never have come out of the ice. She was warned of the danger, but she did not listen, and this had its consequences. She found ancient viruses and parasites that crawled out of the glaciers. After that, no one saw her. She disappeared without a trace. And then the apocalypse began. Not a single person from her team returned. So I'm going to find out what happened here and where everyone went. as well as how to stop it all and return the world to a normal species, without the toxic ocean and northern lights around the world and mutants. The radiation background is very high here, and all the water here is very green and very bright neon green, and huge monsters with giant teeth are swimming in the water, and it seems now that I believe that the apocalypse began from these glaciers. From here, the atmosphere of death blows. So, depressing and scary, but what happened here I still do not understand, by the way. It is raining here, not snow. Apparently it's because of the radiation, which is very high here in general. I hope I can find out what happened. But in the meantime, I run around killing mutants and monsters and looting chests with items, and a little later, I found a tower of pillagers and took them off the sniper, and then decided to climb up to them to see what they are doing here, and what they are doing here, and what they are doing. I have a suspicion that this is either Captain Cornelia's team, or the remnants of it. Perhaps they used to be ordinary Minecraft villagers, but they mutated due to the virus. Now we will find out more about it. I removed a couple of pie-leggers from the machine and began to look for some clues. But so far, except for resources and garbage in barrels, I also found out that one of the leaders of the pillagers has a bugle that summons Captain Cornelia. The fact is that she died and became a ghost of Ice Peaks, and with the help of the horn I can summon her. I will need to find her and kill her in order to free the golden butterflies, in order to save the world from the virus and radiation. But I also need to find out what happened here. What research was there and what happened to the captain's crew? And can they be saved because they were all against it? And it turns out she was a dictator who forced her crew to do things they didn't want and doomed them to death. Of course, there is a theory that the pillagers are the team of Cornelia, who are now infected and will forever remain in the ice of this terrible world. I think we still have a lot of information to learn. Now, I will look for information on ships from the logbooks because they themselves will not tell me anything. Since they are sailors, all ships should have logbooks or diaries with information about this place and about the ice. I think that any sailor is obliged to keep a logbook on the ship. So if this is really the crew of the captain of the Cornelia, then I will be able to find out a lot of useful information. And since there are a lot of pirated things here, I think that this is the captain's crew. In general, I got to the main room where the leader of the pillagers sits. I easily killed him and searched his room. I still haven't found the captain's summon horn. But there are still a lot of pillager bases here, and I think I'll be able to find it somewhere. I climbed the mountain to look around and decided to fly. Well, there's a lot of radiation here. It's quite beautiful here, the northern lights and neon rivers, but it's very dangerous and can end badly. You have to be careful. I found the base of the pillagers and decided to search it. Found some strange book, and apparently this is what I need.
More than a day has passed since the captain's dive. She was wearing the only diving suit we had, so we couldn't help her in any way. Worst of all, she had the master key with her. As our hopes of rescue dwindle, the threat of rebellion grows.
And so, it turns out that Captain Cornelia went underwater in a single diving suit. She took a lockpick with her. I don't know what it is for, but I still find out all the information. The first page was torn out, but it turns out that she went underwater exploring the bottom of glaciers and disappeared or was eaten by monsters or whatever. She never came back. She left her crew and just disappeared. I think we'll find more onboard records and learn more about everything. Human malice is very dangerous. Cornelia set up not only herself, but also her team and even the whole world. I think there were at least 300 people in her team, and most of them are now zombies or mutants. I think I can find them and find out something. I also found the prisoner, and he seems to be healthy, and even conscious.
Hey, please, if you're a normal person, kill me. I can't take it anymore. These mutants have been experimenting on me for months. It's a creature in me. Please just kill me. I can't do this anymore.
Well, apparently, he wouldn't be able to tell me everything I'm interested in, but we do know what these monsters did to people here, although we don't know why. We'll need to find out some information about it, and while I'm collecting various items in chests and I found a dagger with it when hitting poplagers and villagers, I can knock out emeralds. Let's check how it works. In my opinion, it's a very cool sword. I can farm a lot of emeralds. I think it will come in handy for me. I heard the mutant approaching, but it's no longer dangerous for me. I'm not afraid of anyone anymore. I have a weapon and strong armor, so I'm waiting for a mutant with outstretched arms. It's a pretty easy target for me. In general, When I came out of the pillager house, I stepped on the ice and heard a crack. A mutant appeared under the water, but he could not break through the ice and looked like a defenseless herring under a thick layer of ice. I mocked him, fought off other mutants, and decided to destroy him by diving under the water. These monsters looked very funny. I dived into the lake and froze a little because the water here is still cold, but I shot the mutants very easily and there was nothing left of them. This thing tried to bite me, but only poisoned me a little, by the way. The same resident came for me, apparently. He was really infected. It was not for nothing that I killed him. By the way, I noticed that viruses work differently for all people. Some have become mutants and some have become pilders. Apparently, these are different viruses or parasites. From now on, I will kill all mobs because there is a possibility that everyone here has become mutants for a long time and just hide it. So no one should be left alive. Otherwise, they will be able to attack me and a whole crowd. In the meantime, I am attacked by a night mutant again, and I decided to give him a headshot from a sniper at the beginning. I was very afraid of them, but now they look very dead and weak, by the way. Who knows how many mutants attacked me on the bill for the video? Let us know in the comments. I found another database of pilders, and I hoped that I would be able to find the answers to all my questions in it, because there were really a lot of questions in it, What happened here? What did Captain Cornelia find? Reading a book.
This beast from the depths prowl for someone to devour. One of those critter has already eaten our midshipman, swallowed him whole along with his crossbow. We are waiting in vain for rest. No one will come to help us. We have to survive on our own. Today the fort ship was completed. In any case, she could no longer plough the seas ever again. We are no longer able to heat the fort. Resources are running out. Part of the crew began to dig a shelter underground. There are more structures underneath the ice. Looks like I have to go down to this terrible fish. It is the only way we have a chance not to freeze to death. We hid our supplies and valuable cargo underground, but Poseidon cursed us, and during the storm the lieutenant washed away into the sea, along with Master Keys. The hope remains that we could possibly fing similar keys on other ships of our fleet, which have suffered the same fate as us.
In general, friends, as we found out, they all got into very terrible conditions. They were all freezing and they had no chance of survival. At first, they built houses and survived, but I understood that they all froze and became pilders. But this is not strange. It is incredibly cold and terrible. Here, by the way, I found the horn. I don't know how long ago. After all, I just didn't notice him until this moment. But now we're going to kill Captain Cornelia because she's the one to blame for everything that happened here. I fought off a few pie lasers and now we're pushing the horn on the water, and Captain Cornelia appears to us from the depths of the ocean and glacier. Oh my God, Captain Cornelia has been summoned from the depths of the ocean. Just look at what she looks like. She has a special diving helmet on her head, and she has a Christmas cane in her hands. It's strange, but she floats in the air and constantly pushes me away and pulls me to her. Remember, the scroll that I used when I sailed here, so she used the same ability and pulled me to her. And these sharp round sabers began to beat me. I even had to drink medicine to survive. Otherwise, she could have killed me. She is very strong. But now I need to gather my strength and finish her off. We have passed 2 stages of the boss and the last one remains. Well, that's it. The boss Cornelia is defeated. Now I will collect all the resources that I knocked out of her. And by the way, I got a little frostbite. I searched the entire ocean and collected everything that fell from it, and it seemed that I did not miss or lose anything. A card with a red mark fell out of it. Apparently, this is the same escape of the pillagers that was in the logbooks. You need to go there and reconnoiter the area. I've been attacked by a mutant for another billionth time. They just appear out of nowhere, especially in the middle of the night. It's even funny. I think 90s of this video is either running away or fighting these mutants. And so, let's put together the general picture of our obtained information. The team of Captain Cornelia arrived at the glaciers and began research. Something went wrong, and they found ancient viruses, parasites, and even ancient ice creatures. All this in a pile from all sides began to destroy Cornelia's team, and she decided to go to Okina. She sank to the bottom and no one saw her again. Apparently it was either eaten by a monster or something even more terrible. It turns out that after that, the team in desperation just scattered around the continent and began to build different bases for survival, but they did not succeed, and they had to run underground and create a bunker there. Interesting. Now we will climb into the bunker and find out what happened there, and find out what happened there and what it all led to. A very interesting story indeed. By the way, I also noticed that this island does not let souls go to heaven. They stay here in the form of tormented souls. The same happened with Captain Cornelia. She basically remained the same tormented soul on this ice island and was forever imprisoned here. Apparently, I saved them by killing them, thus letting them go to heaven. By the way, I killed the ice serpent and the scrolls fell out again. I decided to use them and the first ones had no effect, but the rest of the scrolls took off all my armor. It's just terrible. There are a lot of monsters and tormented souls around who want to kill me, and I'm without armor. Besides, my armor protects me from Rhodesia, and without it I can die quickly. Apparently, after all, the underground bunker did not help Captain Cornelia's team, and they all died here too, perhaps even more excruciating than on the surface. I killed the zombie that stole my armor and took it back. It could be deadly for me. Probably no more scroll activations and forbidden spells. I have enough machine gun to destroy everyone here besides. It will be safer, and so I noticed some kind of base here. I climb into it and want to explore everything that is here. There are a lot of barrels, leftovers of resources and all sorts of junk. Apparently, they had a very hard time. Their history is very fascinating. By the way, here, in addition to various resources, I was also able to find another logbook. Apparently, they were written by different people, and in this way, you can put together a whole puzzle of the situation here and what happened to them when Cornelia died.
In these cursed lands there, you can't find shelter even under the ice and the thickness of the earth. Some creatures that look like eels crawled out of the depths of the underworld, depriving us of the opportunity to return back to the surface. Only the mistress of the moon knows how long shall we last. At all events, our hopes of seeing sunlight had all but vanished. This place will become our garv, our eternal tomb, for us and that damned rune. It whispers to me, whispers inside my head the secrets of ice and snow. Ice! Now we are chained in ice forever. I suppose a similar fate awaits the crew that set out in search of the fire rune. I wonder if they made it to the great dark forest valley, though it doesn't really matter now.
In general, guys, this is the way it is. I think that this story remains not closed until the end, and we can only guess what happened next and how everything happened here. I suggest you write about it in the comments and come up with your own ending. Perhaps they needed a fire run to unfree everything here, but in any case, they would have died, even if the glaciers were thawed. An even bigger bunch of viruses and parasites would come out and kill them all. So they were doomed to eternal torment and death from the moment they crossed the line of this continent and sailed to this island. For the first time, by the way, their ships crashed on icebergs and none of them could swim away from here. It's very strange. I think it was the mutants who ate their ships because at least one ship should not crash and survive. Well, I released the golden butterflies that were imprisoned in a jar, and now the world will gradually begin to cleanse. I think that in a few months, everything will be absolutely like before the apocalypse. I hope humanity will survive and be able to rehabilitate in the future. Fighting my way through a huge army of mutants, I couldn't even think that I would find the source and the first spore that gave birth to all the parasites. It's really a very horrible sight. I got to some mushroom flower and it gave off a terrible stench. It would be surrounded by spores and other parasites that wouldn't let me near it, and also, after I broke this mushroom or spore I was attacked by another mutant, there are just an incalculable number of them here, and they are all different. Each creature has mutated in its own way, but I hope that now, since I broke the original source of the parasitic fungus and killed many hosts, the world will be able to cleanse itself of them, and they will never appear in our world again, in general. I've already seen enough, and I think that it is time for me to get out of here. I still have a few unfinished business, and by the way, while I was running to the place where my ship was going, I met the golden butterflies that I released. Apparently, they have already begun their work of cleaning the world of terrible viruses and parasites. Well done, friends. It turns out that this is the end of the story, guys. The ocean has not cleared yet, but the process has already started. I hope it will happen as soon as possible. And now I am home, friends. On the way, I killed another boss to collect more resources, and I knocked out her cane, and I'm going to make a new amethyst armor, by the way. I have her helmet that allows you to swim underwater and dive very deep, but you need to make a separate bib so that there would be a set in general. How do you like the story? As for me, it is a little sad and instructive. Now I want to discuss it with you in the comments. So write your opinion, as well as put likes and subscribe to my channel. And now I decided to see what I can make from the new items that I got on the glacier. It turned out that a whole bunch of new items that I got on the glacier. It turned out that a whole bunch of new crafts were added, and I decided that I would make myself amethyst armor, as well as some other cool items. I also made myself spinning chisels, but they are launched one at a time. Unlike the boss captain Cornelia, she has 6 saws flying at once. And now I want to make amethyst armor, and for this I go to hell. I need to get netherite and make myself ingots. I made a portal on the site of my bamboo farm and came to hell. I appeared near the fortress of the piglins and decided to immediately go to ravage it, since you can very often find netherite ingots or fragments there. So I went there and killed all the piglins, and after that I searched all their treasuries and found quite a lot of netherite. After that, I'm going to go to the cave and dig up the netherite there because I need as many as 8 ingots. That's quite a lot. It will take a lot of time, and after that I decided to kill Visor to get his star and make myself a beacon at last, so that it would light the way, especially since when the world is cleansed, there will be ships of sailors here, and they will need a landmark. I think my lighthouse will help them with this. Everything was cool until I realized that the amethyst armor is broken on my build. Its texture just doesn't show up on me. It's very sad because now I don't even know what it would look like on me. At the end, I made a lighthouse and put it on top of my tower. Now everything is ready. I forgot that I am not in Elytra and almost crashed jumping from the lighthouse. It would be a very sad end. After defeating Cornelia and the liberation of the golden butterflies, the world slowly began to cleanse itself, and it turned out that I was not the only survivor. Gradually, people began to rebuild their homes and populate new cities. The ocean became blue again and sank to its previous level, and the mutants are gone forever. And although this victory was given to the world with great losses, we will forever remember what human malice and carelessness lead to. The world is safe now, but who knows what the ocean holds and what the future holds.